David, how important is the art of negotiation when it comes to contested divorce cases and other contested family law related matters?
Yeah, the art is important, particularly because you want to know what your client wants. So that really um, takes meeting with your clients perhaps a number of times, knowing what they ideally want, but also what their kind of bottom line is on particular issues. So that really takes explaining what the law is to them on the one hand, what they're likely to get from a judge if they took the case to trial, but also to let them know that if you reach a settlement, everyone is generally compromising off what they ideally want. So as but one of many examples, if somebody wants maintenance, otherwise known as alimony, New York has a calculator. You can put in husband's income, wife's income, outspits a presumptive amount of maintenance. Now, maybe in some cases, that should be the amount that's settled on, because maybe you're representing a wife who's a homemaker and the husband is making 3, 4, 500,000 or more. You know, maybe in those instances, there wouldn't be too much avenue for negotiation, because you're coming in saying, look, you know, my client, you know, maybe has been out of the workforce a number of years, needs a number of years of maintenance to be able to make ends meet. And, you know, maybe she's gone out, she's looked at apartments, you know, priced out of budgets, and she needs a certain level of spousal support and child support to be able to meet those basic living expenses. In other cases, and many other cases, in fact, you would really want to have a discussion with your client about, well, this is the presumptive number, otherwise known as the best that you can realistically hope to get at trial if you took it to trial and you won the trial. And that won't happen in some cases. Some cases you'll take it to trial and you won't get the ideal number. You'll get something in between. And so then the question becomes, do you want to spend tens of thousands of dollars to get to that point, only to hear that the judge awards you less than presumptive maintenance? Same thing if you're representing the moneyed spouse. You can have a conversation with them and say, well, look, you know, I understand you'd rather give nothing to your soon-to-be ex-wife, but the court's probably going to award some maintenance under given fact scenarios. And the $50 million question in any given case is, how much do you want to spend to get to that point? If you have a client that says, yeah, oh, I don't care, I'll spend $50, $100, $200,000 taking an issue to trial, fine by me. You know, it's their money, and as long as you've had that conversation and they've said, look, I'm willing to spend that much, well, then that gives you an avenue where you can be more aggressive in your negotiation. You know, so in terms of the art of negotiation, you not only have to understand what your client wants, but what they can afford. If they can't afford to take a case to trial realistically, and that's the case with most people, you know, most people don't make hundreds of thousands of dollars and can afford to pay a good divorce attorney, you know, $50,000 or $100,000 or more to take a case to trial. And if that's the case, well, then you have to say, yeah, I can be aggressive. That's not a problem. I know how to be aggressive, but you can't afford for me to be aggressive. So let's take a step back and then couch how we want to approach the other side. Furthermore, in terms of the art of negotiation, you have to know what's going to play with the other side. So it's not a matter of just going to the other side, having a discussion with your client. Your client says, I want $2,000 a month in maintenance. And you go to the other side and says, well, my client wants $2,000 a month in maintenance, period, end of sentence. Well, that's not negotiation. You're just setting forth a number, but without any justification for the number. So if you want to sell that point to the other side, and to some degree, yeah, the negotiation is a sales job. You have to justify to the other side why they are giving that number. And ultimately, if the other side comes back and says, well, we're willing to give $500 a month in maintenance, no more than that, and they give a justification, well, then you take it back to your client and you say, well, this is where they're at. This is their justification. What do you say? Then they'll respond to that justification with perhaps a further justification. And, it's just a matter of going back and forth and seeing if you can reach a middle ground between the two positions. If you can, you got a settlement. If you can't, you take it to, at the very least, to the court to see what a judge will say on the settlement issues.